Hello, I'm Steve Maskery and welcome to Workshop Essentials. The backs of my chairs are going to be laminated, and so to do that I need a former. So I've scrounged some insulation foam. I was at the tip and somebody was chucking this huge piece of foam away. I thought, I'll have that. And I've cut it into 60mm slices on the bandsaw. You do need good dust extraction. I've got some very good dust extraction up there if you're interested. It works great, otherwise this place would look like Santa's grotto. So cut it into 60mm pieces because that's the maximum height I can flush trim on my router table. And then I had got my profile. I've taken this off my existing chairs because they're so comfortable. So that fits into my back like that. Cut 4 pieces with this attached, just bandsawn roughly, and then flush trimmed them on the router table over there. And then glued them back together. And I've used this Fix All, it's a construction adhesive. So they've been in the clamps overnight. Whoops. That. And I'm left with something that is pretty good, really. It's not perfectly even, but I can easily smooth that out. And it's very slightly bent at the moment. I don't know why, but this is not flat. So I think I need to find a piece of board and clamp that down. Not that it'll matter that much because it'll get pressed down when it's in the vacuum. So I shall cover this with tape, parcel tape, so that glue doesn't stick to it. But that's really ready for my backs. And if you just want to see what it's going to look like in terms of the profile, if that's the back of my chair, that's my back leg, and the back panels are going to fit something like that. I think that's going to look rather nice, don't you? It's time to do some work on the backs, and there are a number of components that make up the back panel. There are 2 plywood panels like this, and one is going to be veneered for the back of the chair. And the other is going to be upholstered for the bit that goes against my back. This is melamine faced hardboard from the free skip outside IKEA. Help yourself, it said, so I did. And I've chosen this because glue doesn't stick to it very well. So if there's any squeeze out in the bag, it'll set on this and then it just sort of flakes off. You just put a chisel underneath it and it comes off in one piece. So that's my mould that I'm going to use, my former. The back panels, they were panels off some interior doors from a 1930s house. I was given the doors, and when I took the plywood panels off, they were beautiful panelled doors underneath. But in the 60s and 70s, people decided it was a good idea to cover them with hardboard and paint them green or something. My dad did exactly that in a nice Victorian house, actually. But there you go. So I got these, and they were a little bit thick, so I thought, no problem, I'll put them through the thicknesser. And that was a mistake. The first one went through okay. The second one, okay. Then it got bogged down and I had to pull. And by the time I got to the end, I was pulling my hair out. I thought, what on earth is going on? So when I tried to plane up some timber, some lumber, it went bang, 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 bang. And I thought, oh, crikey, what's going on? And of course, the knives were blunt. I mean, really blunt. I put new knives in and it was sweet again. And the knives that came out, I could run them across the palm of my hand and not draw blood. Because there's so much glue in this stuff, it really takes its toll on the knives. So there's no such thing as free wood. Anyway, they're done. They're not all exactly the same. Some have got more spring back than others. I hope that's not going to cause me problems when the two go together. But I'm going to match them, pair them up as best I can. So in each case, I've got 2 that do fit together reasonably well. So that was them. That was fairly straightforward. Then it came to the edging strips. Now, I've got a whole YouTube video on how I cut these accurately, consistently, and above all, safely on the table saw. Thin strips like this. So if you want to watch that, it's up there somewhere. Nice layer of glue, and then stack, 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 like that. I'm taping this end together to keep them from moving about too much. Keep the stack together in place. But although I don't want them to move sideways, I do want them to be able to move over each other. So the other two bands are going to be made with the sticky bit on the outside, like that. And then tape over that so it doesn't snag on the bag itself. And that way, it stops them from moving sideways, but it does allow them to bend, slide over each other as they bend. So when they come out of the vacuum bag and have been cleaned up on the planer and thicknesser, they look like this. Very, very nice. I mean, that is very rigid. That doesn't bend at all. These do a bit. And I need to put 2 rebates on these because this is going to do one chair. So half of it is going to go on one edge and half on the other edge. And I was going to cut the rebate and then rip it down the middle. But I've got a bit of a problem with that in that some of these laminates have got holes in, screw holes, because this is all second-hand wood. This was a pew from a church in Leicester somewhere. And it means that when I cut down the middle, it's quite possible, in fact certain actually, that I'm going to expose some screw holes. And those are on faces that are going to be seen. So I don't want that to happen. So what I've got to do is rip these down the middle first. And then rebate them. And it's going to be quite small sections that aren't flat. So I think that's going to be quite tricky. Because the plywood back has had more spring back than the laminated lipping, you can see that they don't actually sit together. They're not the same curve anymore. So it's a good job that there's enough flexibility to go together like that. I do like this mallet, it's excellent. Really nice feel to it. The backs of these chairs are going to be veneered in oak, and I've got quite a lot of oak veneer. About 20 or 25 years ago, I designed a bedroom suite for a couple, and I made the wardrobe, I made the bed, and there was going to be a chest of drawers and something else, I forget. And I bought enough veneer to do the whole lot. And after I'd made the wardrobe and the bed, they got divorced. So the rest of the suite never got made. And I was left with quite a lot of veneer. So when I came to do my wardrobes a couple of years ago, I thought I can use that veneer. could I find it? Well, I'd moved house a couple of times. My stuff had been in storage. Quite a lot had got stolen, went walkabout. And I just thought it had got lost. So I spent several £100 buying some oak veneer. And the day after it arrived, I found the stuff that I thought I'd lost. So this is the replacement batch, actually. The original batch is very nice, but a single leaf is about 1/4 of an inch too narrow. So I'm going to use this sort of replacement batch, which I've had a couple of years now. And it's beautiful figure. It's beautiful figure, but the reason I didn't use it for my wardrobe doors is because it's a bit in your face for such a large area. The grain from about here to the end runs off at about 20 degrees. And it's fairly straight in the middle. And then from about here to the end, it's a little bit wavy. And on a big wardrobe front, that would just look too much, I think. But for narrow backs, and I'm going to book match these, I think it can look stunning. So I've got 12 leaves. So that's going to be 6 book matched pairs. And the first thing to do is to label them so they don't get mixed up. 1, 2, 11, 12. And I have got some more if I mess up. Obviously, I hope I don't mess up, but I'm not an experienced veneerer, it has to be said. I've done some bits, and some of them have been in projects that I've filmed for YouTube, but I'm not a master veneerer by any manner or means. So the first thing then is to get these cut off, and then, oops, what was that? To get these cut off, and then work out where I'm going to have the mirror line. Now it could look like that, or it could look like that. I think both would look good, but I think I prefer the first one. Definitely. Yes, I like that. I like that a lot. Very nice, very nice. That's good, actually. Right, so the continuous piece. There's the line there. Ooh. That looks very nice to me. So this is my back, and I've drawn a centre line, and I'm going to glue this and pin it down with some old-fashioned traditional drawing pins or thumbtacks. A nice flat head, not one of these mapping pins that sticks up, because this is going to go in the bag. And I have checked that it's not going to poke through, because the last thing you want is a drawing pin through your vacuum bag. So I'm going to put this at the very ends, and that should stop it shifting sideways. So, time to get some glue out, I think. Right. Let's see if we can get this on straight. About there. And we're a bit long. I might can cut that off. And in the bag. Come on. Come on. Go, go, go. There she goes. Well, even if I say so myself, I don't think that that is half bad. I've got a bit of a problem here, and it's to do with the backs. I need to route a tongue on there to fit into my grooves, and whilst I'm quite pleased in general of the way that these backs have come out, they're not perfect, and in particular they're not flat across the width. I can see that there's a gap of over 1 millimetre, maybe even 2 millimetres, maybe not 2 millimetres, but say 1/16 of an inch for argument's sake. And that means that if I just try to route that on my router table, as well as the issue of it not being a flat surface on the table, it means that I'm going to end up with a shoulder which is bigger at the ends and not so big in the middle. And that will show as an uneven reveal where the seat back meets the lower rail. So I've thought about this, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue a piece into this recess here temporarily, and glue it in and clamp the whole thing flat, and then cut my rebate. I've ordered a rebate cutter with a 1/4 inch shank, a little one, so I can hold it in my little tiny router, and then route the rebate, and then remove somehow, chop it out, I guess, the piece that I've glued in. And that way I hope to make a tongue which at least follows the curve of this, and it's very stiff, but there is enough flexibility to be able to get that into a straight groove. So this edge is a bit messy. I've lost a layer of veneer off my plywood, but it fits nicely. These are now flush because I've planed them down a little bit, and the bit that you see, the bit that you actually see, is as clean as a whistle. That is lovely, actually. Very happy with that. So this is what my backs look like now. There'll be an upholstered cushion that fits in this recess to lean against, and then you'll see this veneered back from behind. And I think they're going to look fantastic, I really do. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Cheerio. If you've got any questions, leave me a comment below. And please remember to like, subscribe and share. It's the only way this work gets seen.